for those who don't know, this past weekend, Micah Parsons was caught not napping, right?
No, he was just taking a break.
Stretching. Yeah. He's got a back ailment that he's been battling, which is why he's not been on the field. He had to stretch his back on the training table, and it was caught in 4K, right, as they say. And then he, was defended by, is that Mike Leslie, one of the local reporters. Mike, appreciating the media is not taking this out of context, which I appreciate the media too. But that was a lot of show. I mean, that was a lot to show the public in amidst of a contract stare down. Like, he knew he was going to be on TV for that, right?
Yeah. 1,000%. And then, this thing.
Eating shows.
Yeah, and someone said, come to Atlanta, and he does the, call sign, basically, like, call, Jerry, or whatever.
Stadium shows.
Stadium shows. Yeah. To your point about, just Jerry in general not knowing his entire story, I also didn't, knew he got sued. No idea why or what that situation was about. And then just learning about basically what today's NFL is, off the field, business-wise, is just it was all Jerry Jones. Like we it's funny watching The Kingdom because you learn so much about the history of the NFL when it comes to the actual football, like with Lamar Hunt and what he changed when it comes to the field goal post and everything. And then when watching this is so interesting because Jerry basically created the NFL's business. There's a story he talks about when, he's getting during the lawsuit, during the owners' meetings, Jerry gets kicked out of the room because they have to talk about the lawsuit that, Jerry has against the NFL.
This might be my favorite part.
Yeah, and he said he got real. He said he wasn't emotional, and then while he stood up and walked out, he started getting super emotional. His eyes welled up and everything. And he just said he turned around and said, look, if you guys win the lawsuit, you can take the team from me. I'm not going to fight you at all. But if I win the lawsuit, I'm coming back for every fucking penny. And it ended up being $700 million or something ridiculous, whatever the number was at the time. And it's crazy seeing that, Jerry. We kind of talked about it before a little about how people didn't want him. Go back to Arkansas, the JJs, blah, blah. We said that last week. But then, after finishing the doc, the biggest takeaway was he knows what was happening and where everything was going. And I think if I'm a Cowboys fan, the argument is he knew then, but does he know now? Because so much has changed since, the times of the 90s and when he was, taking over, that after watching it, it makes me think there's no way he's going to re-sign Micah Parsons just because of the fuss that was made of it.
You look at the parallels with the trade too, the Herschel Walker trade, and a lot of people are pointing to that and be hey, maybe he's going to do that now and kind of, remake this team just like he did then. But the NFL is way different than when it was when the Cowboys were winning back-to-back Super Bowls, just the entire landscape, everything. But it also was cool because now Jerry's just like a caricature, people have all these stories and when you go back and you get this and you see that, it's okay, well, you can see all these different pieces that are going in that make the caricature that we see now. But obviously, in his heyday, and time waits for no man. He's getting old. That's just the way it is. But when he was in his heyday, he's about as sharp as they come.
Yeah. Well, Raps, since you've seen that, and then you saw, I'll run it after I ask you this.
Okay.
The quote from Jerry with Michael Irvin talking about David Mulugeta and that whole situation. Let's just run it now, and then I'll get your thoughts on it.
We'll come back.
When we wanted to send the details to the agent told us to stick it up our ass.
Oh, wait. Now, see, I was
just so you're clear.
Wait. What do you mean? So wait. What do you mean? Because people going to ask. Mike and I talked, and then we were going to send it over to the agent. And we had our agreements on term, amount, guarantees, everything. We were going to send it over to the agent, and the agent said, don't bother because we've got all that to negotiate. Well, I'd already negotiated. I'd already moved off my mark over several areas. And so the issue, very frankly, is we've had the negotiation in my mind. And the agent's trying to get his nose in it right now and try to come in there and improve off the mark that we'd already said. It's the mama-daddy deal. You go into mama, and she won't do it. And she's the boss, so she won't do it. So you run into daddy says do it, And then you go back in and say, Mom and Daddy said it was all right. It's the old Mom and Daddy deal. We've all been there and done that. Well, we've got this thing resolved in my mind for the Dallas Cowboys. And we've got it done. And if the agent wants to finish up the detail, which is should, and do all the paperwork, and he can do that. And we're ready to go. But as far as the amount of money, the years, the guarantees, all of that, we negotiate that.
How do you feel about that? You know all these parties more than we do.
Yeah. First of all, that was amazing. I mean, that was all of the rumors that I was hearing in I think it was March. It's either February or March, early, about Jerry Jones calling in Micah thinking he's going to have a regular conversation just about leadership and the organization. Jerry's in there and he really starts trying to negotiate this deal, and Micah's talking back and forth, not negotiating in his mind, but just talking about what it might take. And then they leave, and Micah's like, call my agent. And Jerry's like, okay, but we just did this deal. There's not a lot of precedent for this. I mean, the Cowboys have gone to players and, talked to them about contracts, but to think that they were literally doing the deal with Micah and then the agent just gets to sign off on the final language, it's almost unfathomable to me. And I would say this, the clip, the headline that everyone's running is where Jerry says, the agent said, stick it up your ass or whatever it was. That's not really what he said.
Yeah, at all.
The better part of this is being them talking to the agent and being, okay, let's get started. And Jerry's like, well, what do you mean get started? We're already done. If you wonder why there's a disconnect, this is why, because one side thinks that they're done and the other side thinks they haven't started. How do you bridge that? And AJ, you did one of these big time negotiations. You obviously how did players deal with this in the locker room when the owner or whoever goes to the player and tries to do a deal?
I don't know. Has this ever when does this ever happen to where an owner and a player directly actually come together and hammer out all the details on a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract? Does that happen? I don't know.
Yeah,
what you're saying is they go in straight to your agent. Is that what you're saying, AJ?
Yeah, I'm saying that. Yeah, normally guys can be involved for sure, but it's never as far as I know and people I've talked to and been around the league, I don't know any player that's just gone up to the owner's office wherever they are. I was in Green Bay for 9 years, so they didn't have an owner. A little bit different there, but just goes up there and works it out one-on-one. We know there's guys that don't will sign and they won't have an agent, but a lot of them still have lawyers. Obviously, look over the contract, make sure everything is situated. You pay them hourly; it's a lot cheaper than paying them 2.5% or 3%. We know that, but to think, hey, how many conversations was this between Jerry and Micah to where Jerry says we got everything hammered out? Was it one conversation?
One conversation.
One.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So Micah probably walked out thinking that was fun, that was cool. And then Jerry said we got a deal.
I mean, and I think from my understanding of this, I know that the Cowboys would have paid him a lot, and I assume any starting point for a deal is highest paid non-quarterback.
That's what came out this weekend, right? Or that's kind of what Jerry said, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and and so that's all true. But what the Cowboys have wanted to do is lock players up to long deals. Remember Tyron Smith did I think it was an 8-year deal, or 10, whatever it was, and what agents want, this was the argument with CeeDee Lamb, this was the argument with Dak, is they want fewer years because they want another bite at the apple because they know, as we learned with Terry McLaurin, as we were learning with Trey Hendrickson, that third contract is hard. And so you want to get there sooner rather than later because you want to be still in your prime. So if you're David Mulligetta, you'd like a 3-year deal. You'd like a 4-year deal. You're going to get the APY up anyway. You'd like, an earlier chance at the apple. And if you're the Cowboys, you want 8 years. So that's my understanding of the Cowboys thought this was the long-term thing. And then, agent David Mulligetta was hold on, what? We would never have agreed to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so to AJ's question, where Mulligetta gets involved, for a situation, and this is the highest paid, so it is the most money going to one player, so it's going to be a massive contract no matter what. But for kind of comparatively, Lamar Jackson, for instance, Lamar doesn't have an agent, anything like that. When he's getting his contract done, is that Lamar, his mother in the owner, in the GM? How did that work? Is that kind of the setup? Because
more than one conversation, I can promise you that.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
matter what he did, it was more than one phone call or one sit down, I'm sure.
Right, definitely more than one. And some do it differently. Like when, with Lamar, I think it was some in person. I think there was some email communications because, like, if you're a player and you're like, Lamar's not a trained agent, neither is his mom. I know there's some advisors who have helped them, but, not a trained agent. Like, a lot of times you want to make sure it is perfect, so you email it to, like, make sure that the language is right. And I think when Laramie Tunsil did his deal.
St. Omni.
Yeah.
Yep. Who, is emerging from the shadows.
Yes.
Interesting. That my guy.
Tony's a real person.
He's a real person. Yeah.
We saw him.
You meet him?
No, I just saw him.
Super Bowl.
Brief glimpse.
Oh.
In the background of it.
You sure that was him?
I mean, that was the gimmick Laramie Tunsil seemed to be swinging on the program that one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tunsil did his on email just to make sure that, like, everything was buttoned up as it should be. But, like, one of the weird thing about when you do a contract yourself is that, let's say it's Lamar. Like, the Ravens can't kill Lamar in a contract. Like, it doesn't help them. He's their starting quarterback. Like, if they do some great deal for them that's bad for him, he's going to be mad. And then it's like, why did you take advantage of me? So it's almost like the team is incentivized to do a fair deal because the player's the agent, and you got to be fair to the player who's also, like, it's playing dual roles here.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if an agent's involved, like the Commanders doing this Terry McLaurin deal, they can get mad at Buddy Baker. I'm sure they're mad at Buddy Baker. And then McLaurin walks in, and it's like, let's hug.
Yeah. Love you, man.
Well, yeah, always wanted to get this done, like, super happy. It's like, that's
what agents are for.
That's what agents are for.
Well, then in this situation specifically, like what can, because it sounds like Jerry's not going to meet with Mulugeta. Like, he's not interested in that at all. They've had a very public war of words back and forth. I'm sure they both kind of, I don't want to say hate each other's guts, but, like, Jerry doesn't seem interested in that at all. So, like, what is the next step? How do you get past that? Like when you said one side thinks this thing's done, ironclad, he just needs to sign, and Micah's side's like, nah, we haven't even started yet. Like that in a vacuum seems like, well, this is never going to get done then.
You know what's funny about all this? And, like, I always enjoy coming and hanging out with you guys, but one of the cool things is that you're forced to talk about these issues in, like, deep ways that, like, in 30-second bites on TV shows you don't really get to. This situation is even more bizarre than I appreciated. Like, to talk about it like this, where one side thinks they're done and the other side thinks you haven't get started, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Jerry said that conversation happened in March, right?
Yes.
So that's a long time ago, and that market changed dramatically with huge guys signing big
look at
deals.
Yeah.
So there's no way Jerry in his mind can think that conversation they had then is still in play at this point, right? Like, how could you possibly think that?
They shook hands.
That's what probably pisses Jerry off the most is that, I mean, him and Micah might have had that conversation, and then to Nick's point, that night, like, Max Crosby might have gotten $95 million guaranteed in his extension. Like, there's so many different things that could have changed. And if you're Micah, the one takeaway too, as from his side of things from this Cowboys doc, is the whole Emmitt Smith holdout. We were talking about it before the show.
I couldn't believe that.
I had no, again, another one of those things where, like, you just didn't know that this was happening. I don't even know if I was born yet, but Emmitt Smith holds out for
upsetting.
3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever the hell it was, and the Cowboys were like 1-5, and then
I think it was 0-2, right?
0-2, yeah.
Like, felt like, but I remember it was, like, dramatic, and so, like,
very dramatic. This part of the doc is like, hey, without Emmitt Smith, this team sucks. Is basically how it was. Being posed.
The backup running back fumbles twice, and I'm like.
That's when somebody, I forget if that guy got cut on the spot, but I forget which part that was. But if you're Micah Parsons and you see that, then all you think is like, shit, I just got to wait a couple weeks.
Yes.
This defense without me is, they're not screwed, but they're not going to be as good. If I wait 2 weeks and we give up, 4 touchdowns in a game, I'm going to get more than what I asked for.